What's up, guys? We are back with a big Saturday of NCAA football action here on Saturday, September 21st. We're back at it 17-12 through the first 3 weeks of the NCAA football season. Let us know in the comments how pumped you are for NCAA football and NFL videos here every single day on the weekends. If you want to win all of your bets here in week 4 of college football, hit that like button. It's good luck and show support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the value of the early lines. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right there below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on the screen just like right now. Guys, I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that little badge there next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. NCAA football has been one of our most profitable sports over the years, and we have a seasoned expert capper over there that's bringing great value to all of our premium members. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We got the NC State Wolfpack taking on the number 21 Clemson Tigers. NC State is 2-1 on the season. They really only played one real game and they got destroyed 51-10 there by then number 14 Tennessee. Their last game, guys, they destroyed Louisiana Tech 30-20. I mean, I guess destroyed is a little bit strong. They needed those 10 points there in the fourth quarter to put them over the top. Playing a close game against a team like Louisiana Tech, not exactly the best look. Yeah, we didn't see anything we particularly loved from NC State there in the passing game. I mean, Bailey looked fine. McCall looked fine, but I mean, Bailey getting picked off once, not a great look. The running game seems like it's the main strength here for NC State, and they did some positive things, but yeah, not necessarily a running game that I'm going to be thrilled about, and not like they have a bunch of premier pass catchers out there, guys. A little bit worried about this team on the offensive side of the ball, generally speaking, but like I said, they did some positive things. It looks like they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground, just generally speaking, this season. In terms of their defense, that did not look good, guys. They did not have a lot of answers there in the passing game, which against a team like Louisiana Tech, kind of a bad look. The Louisiana Tech did not do much in the running game, so maybe that could be a strength here for this defense, but they only generated two turnovers there, one interception, and one fumble recovery. But yeah, overall, not really an NC State defense that I'm going to be that nuts about. So we'll see what they look like here going up against a team like the Clemson Tigers, who, yeah, came into this year with high hopes, but got off to a really, really bad start. They're getting absolutely just manhandled by Georgia in that game. They lost 34-3. We were on the right side in that one, so we'll definitely take it. But man, very, very tough stuff from Clemson there right out of the gate. They did get back to work with a solid win in week 2 over Appalachian State. So yeah, cool. You beat them 66-20. That's great, but not really going to freak out about that too much. I mean, the Clemson offense definitely looked great in that game. We saw Klubnik pass for 5 touchdowns in that one. So, very, very good stuff there. The running game went nuts. They did all the things you would expect for them to do against an opponent that they completely, totally overmatched. So, yeah, I mean, congratulations there, I guess, but not going to be too excited about that. Klubnik looking good. The running game looking really good. Yeah, the wide receivers put up crazy numbers in that game, and they generated some turnovers, 3 turnovers in that game, so that's cool. But, yeah, when you're doing that against a team like Appalachian State, I'm not going to freak out too much. I'm still much more concerned about what I saw from them in week 1, where they just could not, hardly stay on the field there against a Georgia team that just went bonkers, guys. I mean, 34-8. They didn't give up a passing touchdown. Didn't give up a touchdown in the game, obviously. They completely stifled the run, and Clemson couldn't get anything going there on offense. So we'll see what it looks like here for them in week 3, guys. And looking at the numbers for this game, we've got Clemson as 18.5-point favorites. We've got an over-under of 44 in this game. NC State, they're 0-3 against the spread this season, and they're 2-1 to the over this year. Clemson is 1-1 against the spread this year, and 1-1 on the over-under side of things. So generally speaking in this game, guys, I think the over is very live. 44 points, not that many. If Clemson gets things going here at all on offense, they should be able to get 30 plus points of their own. And yeah, I think NC State's going to score at least a little bit here. This defense hasn't looked that dominant. I mean, obviously giving up 20 points to Appalachian State isn't a great look. So getting over that total of 44 points seems pretty easy to me. I also think that taking NC State and the points is very, very solid as well. if you like that under, I do think taking them at 18.5 could be all right. But really, guys, my best value on this game is definitely going to be that over 44. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Florida Gators going on the road to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Gators are 1-2 this year. They just lost in a kind of disappointing fashion there against Texas A&M in Week 3. And yeah, they've really played two real opponents this year and lost both of those games very handily. They did get that win against Samford. Congratulations, you won against Samford in football. That is not much of an exploit there. This Florida team really not looking too great in that loss that they had to Texas A&M, guys. A 20-33 loss. I mean, we saw this offense not looking good at all. They're basically using rotating quarterbacks, and what a disaster. I mean, yeah, just not good. Just not good. You would think Graham Mertz would kind of have this game locked up after what we saw, kind of have this spot locked up after we saw it in their last game, but yeah, just not great. Didn't see good things from the Florida running game in that one. Just a lot of very disappointing stuff for the Florida Gators so far this season. I mean, getting completely dominated by their in-state rivals there to open the season is not a good look, and last week they couldn't run the ball, and yeah, I mean, we didn't see any. I mean, I guess Badger had a pretty good day catching the ball, but yeah, just generally speaking, just not an offense that's looking very good. The coaching situation's not looking great, and giving up 33 points, not an amazing look in this one. They couldn't stop the pass, they couldn't stop the run. There's really just nothing positive to report for Florida in last week's game, guys. Things were very, very bleak for them there against Texas A&M, and in Week 1 against Miami, that was then number 19 Miami, they got absolutely worked, losing 41-17. Not a good look for them in that game either. Yeah, just really, really bad stuff. Seems like a lot of confusion going on this team on both sides of the ball. So, guys, I'm not going to lie. We are not very high on Florida in this season or in this game. They're taking on Mississippi State, who comes into this one not having the best time either, guys. They just lost last week in a blowout against Toledo. That was pretty crazy stuff. Not exactly what I would have expected to see from Mississippi State. 1-2 on the year, not off to a very good start. Yeah, just not a ton of positives here. I mean, against Toledo last week, we didn't see them do very many good things. Obviously, giving up 21 points there in the second quarter. Pretty bad look. Yeah, Chapin didn't look great out there. I mean, he did pass for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but got picked off once, so that's not ideal. And the running game couldn't really get going, but they were getting destroyed so bad that, yeah, that makes things a little bit rough. I mean, when you're down that big, you can't really focus on running the ball. We saw some wide receivers have a decent time out there. I mean, we did see a fumble loss there by the quarterback, so that's not great. And yeah, guys, our biggest concern here for Mississippi State probably is that defense, guys. I mean, yeah, just really, really weak stuff. They didn't generate interception in that game. They only generated a single turnover in the entire game. They kind of stood up against the run. I'll give them a little bit of credit there, but not necessarily, not amazing. Not amazing in my opinion. And yeah, guys, they just did not have very many answers there on defense, despite going up against a team that historically, you would think Mississippi State would be much, much better than. But yeah, just not really the case. Not a great look, if you're staring down an SEC schedule to be losing games to teams like Toledo or Arizona State. Like, that's not a great look either. Their Week 2 loss. So yeah, things looking a little bit bleak here for Mississippi State, but they've definitely got a chance in this game, guys. Looking at this matchup, the numbers, guys, we've got Mississippi State at +6.5. We've got an over-under of 58.5. Florida is 0-3 against the spread this season. They're 2-1 to the over, and Mississippi State is 1-2 against the spread and 2-1 to the over. Yeah, Florida with their rotating quarterbacks, their defense looks really bad. Their coaching situation seems like a disaster to me. And guys, the Florida Gators are 3-15 against the spread in their last 18 games as favorites. Yeah, if this game was being played in Florida, maybe you could talk me into it. But guys, I'm leaning towards the Mississippi State Bulldogs at +6.5 in this game. I think they're going to keep this one very, very close. I think they've got a chance to win this game straight up. That's how little I think of Florida right now. Maybe not my favorite game on the slate, not going to lie, but I'm pretty low on Florida. And in terms of the over-under, not a ton of interest in this one, guys. I mean, I would maybe shade a little bit towards the over, I suppose, because both these defenses are really bad, but go ahead and give me Mississippi State +6.5 in this one. Next up, guys, we've got a Big 12 showdown between the Kansas Jayhawks and the West Virginia Mountaineers. Kansas comes into this game fresh off of a very tough 23-20 loss against UNLV. They lost in Week 2, also falling on the road at Illinois, so things are not off to the start that the Jayhawks were hoping for last week against UNLV. Obviously, a fairly competitive game there, guys, no doubt about that, but yeah, coming out on the short end, we saw Jalen Daniels have a really, really rough day, getting picked off twice, only totaling 153 yards passing. Yeah, the run running game looked very, very good, and Daniels did a great job running the ball. He scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, had 65 yards. Very good stuff in the running game, but that passing game, guys, leaves an awful lot to be desired. Definitely a major concern for them in this game. Got to get things figured out there. Yeah, with the running game looking good, maybe you just keep the ball on the ground. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not an NCAA football coach, but seems like you might want to lean a little bit more towards that strength than towards what is an obvious weakness for this team. On defense, though, Kansas City looking like monsters out there, only allowing 86 passing yards in that game. Shocking that it's a loss. They did give up a good amount to the run, don't get me wrong, but yeah, if you can hold down the passing game like that, that's pretty impressive, and seems like you could change up the scheme a little bit to focus a bit more on the stopping the run, at least somewhat, but we'll see what kind of adjustments they make in this game. I think the Kansas defense is pretty good. I'm not expecting them to be falling apart, and it's not like they fell apart in week 2 against Illinois, and that 6-point loss there, we once again saw Daniels get picked off a bunch, 3 interceptions in that one, and in that game, Kansas was very, very good against the run. So yeah, expecting good things from their defense in this one as they go up against West Virginia, who comes into this game fresh off of a tough but very, very competitive loss at Pittsburgh. Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, obviously at 1-2 on the season, they're not off to the start they envisioned, but not looking terrible right out of the gate in that loss at Pitt, guys, and that's not necessarily an easy place to play. They scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, really making things close down the stretch. We saw very good stuff in the passing game aside from those 2 interceptions, and the running game looked dominant. This is a team that's definitely going to be looking to move the ball on the ground. I mean, Garrett Green can definitely move it through the air and on the ground, and Donaldson Jr. is a monster as well. And yeah, we just saw lots and lots of success for this offense last week against a pretty good Pitt team. So we'll see what they can do here against a much, much better defense. That's going to be interesting. And yeah, I mean, they had those 2 turnovers that'll definitely really hurt, and they weren't looking good on defense necessarily last week, guys. I mean, yeah, giving up 3 passing touchdowns and 300 yards. They allowed Holstein to complete 21 of 30 passes. Like, that's pretty crazy. They were good against the running game, I suppose, but yeah, not necessarily an amazing performance there. So we'll see what they can get done in this game. Looking at the numbers, we've got Virginia. They are 2.5-point favorites in this game. They're -2.5. We've got an over-under of 56.5 in this one. Kansas, guys, they are 0-3 against the spread this season and 3-0 to the under. West Virginia is also 0-3 against the spread. So one of these teams going to figure that out. One of them is going to get a win against the spread here. West Virginia is 2-1 to the over. I like Kansas in this spot a good amount. The underdog is actually 9-2 against the spread. In the last 11 games for Kansas, they're 3-1 in their last 4 games as an underdog. And West Virginia is 0-3 against the spread in this season so far. So yeah, I mean, obviously both teams being 0-3 against the spread, that number's kind of a wash, but I do think I like Kansas at +2.5 a little bit in this game, but more than that, guys, I think under 56.5 is very, very live. I think we've got a very good defense there for Kansas, which is one of the main reasons you want to lean towards Kansas as the side, but I do think we're going to probably come in under that 56.5 number. Will either one of these be in the pinned comment? I don't know yet, guys. I would say they have a chance, but I definitely think I like the under a little bit more than I like the side in this game. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA Football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get you the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just to clarify some of the questions we've been getting, I'm not the NCAA Football capper for stumpthespread.com. These YouTube picks are obviously free to everyone and are just what I am seeing out there. We have an expert with nearly 15 years of experience that covers NCAA football, and the research he puts in keeping track of all of these teams is actually wild. His in-depth knowledge has made college football one of our most profitable sports, bringing tons of value to our premium members. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now, guys, back to the games. Next up, guys, we've got one of the marquee matchups of the day. We've got the number 11 USC Trojans going on the road to take on the number 18 Michigan Wolverines. The Trojans come into this game 2-0 in the season. They haven't played their third game yet. A very, very dominant performance last week. They shut out Utah State 48-0, backing up a nice week 1 win over then number 13 LSU, where they won 27-20. So the Trojans just, humming right along here, right out of the gate, looking very, very good in that win over LSU in week 1, which is the main game that we're going to be paying attention to here for them. We saw very good stuff for Moss. I mean, 378 yards passing and a passing touchdown in that game. Very, very dominant stuff out there through the air, and we saw the running game look very good there with Woody Marks looking, very solid in the running game. On the ground attack there, very, very good stuff for the Trojans. Expecting more of the same in this one, guys. They've got a solid wide receiver group out there, too. They didn't turn the ball over in week 1, which is absolutely, imperative. Like, if you can limit your turnovers in college football, you are very likely going to have an excellent time out there. So, very happy with what I've seen from USC so far this season. And obviously, last week in their dominant win over Utah State, we saw more of the same. Very, very good play out there from the Trojans across the board. Their defense was obviously dominant in that game. They once again almost had a turnover-free game. We did see them fumble the ball away once, but more clean play out there from Moss. He's looking excellent so far in the early goings, and the running game continues to dominate. Obviously, there was a big talent discrepancy there in week 2, but they were for sure on the right side and looked very, very good, and the defense continues to impress me. So expecting good things here from the Trojans, despite the fact they're going on the road. They're taking on the Wolverines, who come into this game fresh off of I don't even know if I want to say solid, a really competitive win there, a 28-18 win over Arkansas State. I guess that's a bounce back for them after getting destroyed by Texas, but yeah, not loving what we're seeing from the Wolverines here. I mean, through their first 3 weeks, definitely a little bit disappointing. They couldn't keep things more competitive against Texas. Losing to a team like Texas, nothing to be ashamed of, but yeah, losing so handily doesn't really feel that great. Last week against Arkansas State, guys, we saw some good things, I'm not going to lie. We saw, the passing game not looking amazing for the Wolverines still. It was fine. It was very efficient, but Warren getting picked off 3 times by Arkansas State. Like, you're about to go up against USC, bro. Things are going to look a lot different and a lot faster out there. So definitely major concerns there, and even if they're switching things up at quarterback, I'm not sure how big of a difference that's going to make in this one. The running game for Michigan, which is what they want to concentrate on, did look very, very good, but it's going to be a whole different ball game running against some much bigger, much faster dudes for USC than they were dealing with going up against Arkansas State. The receiving group, not amazing, but not like they're getting very good chances out there. And while the defense was fine, I guess, they generated an interception. That's, 1 turnover against what should be a much less talented team. Not super impressive to me. They gave up 15 points there in the fourth quarter to make this game interesting. They did all right against the running game, I'll say, but it's not like they were trying to run the ball a ton there. Giving up 2 passing touchdowns, once again, not a great look. So really, guys, the only major strength that I'm finding for Michigan right now, to me, feels like it's their running defense, or their running game, Other than that, I'm a little bit worried. The defense not looking as good as I thought it would, and yeah, now having to go up against a super talented team, that did not look great in their game against Texas. So we'll see what happens in this one, but I'm a little bit leery here of Michigan. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, USC are 4.5-point favorites. Michigan's getting 4.5 points at home there. Guys, we've got an over-under of 44 in this game. We've got a free pick up at stumpthespread.com on USC at -5.5. Locked that one in early in the week, and now it's down to 4.5. Guys, the Trojans are 2-0 against the spread this season. They are 2-0 to the under this year. Michigan's 0-3 against the spread this season, and 2-1 to the under as well. If you wanted to take a look at under 44, I guess you could. I'm not very interested in that, though, guys. I'm definitely going to be siding with USC here, -4.5. That one's definitely going in the pinned comment. I don't think they're going to be too bothered by playing on the road in this one. They've been killing it so far this season, so definitely give me USC in this game. Next on the docket, we've got Miami, Ohio, going on the road to take on Notre Dame. Miami, Ohio, not having a good season, guys. They've lost both their first 2 games, losing at Northwestern and then at home against Cincinnati. Not like this is a team that came into the year with super high expectations, and yeah, I don't know how they're going to do in the MAC this year, but I'm not feeling too great about them. In their loss to Cincinnati, losing 27-16, just didn't see a ton of positives. The passing game, I guess, looked good, but the running game was basically non-existent, and you can't really be one-dimensional here if you're hoping to have a chance against a good opponent, especially opponent that is very, very solid on defense. So not high expectations for Miami, Ohio this season, or really in this game. And looking at their opponent in this one, they're taking on Notre Dame, who came out, took out a lot of frustrations against Purdue there in week 3. Obviously that terrible loss to Northern Illinois left a really bad taste in their mouth. I expect them to probably keep on rolling here. They were so dominant there at Purdue. We saw Notre Dame just really be able to do anything they wanted to do, especially run the ball. 362 rushing yards in that game, and I think we could see a very, very similar performance from them in this one. I think they're going to get absolutely everything they want in this game, and I think that defense is going to be very, very dominant, guys. Looking at the numbers for this one, Miami, Ohio is 0-2 against the spread and 2-0 to the under this year, and The Fighting Irish are 2-1 against the spread and 2-1 to the under. So if you wanted to take a look at under 43.5, I guess you could just because of those trends, but I don't love that, guys. I think there's going to be plenty of points scored in this game, but I think they're all going to be scored by Notre Dame, guys. Give me the Fighting Irish at minus 27.5. I know it's a ton of points, but I'm not too worried about that. This team is still going to be very, very upset about that loss. They have to pile on here, do everything they can to show that they're an actual good team and deserve consideration to be playing in the postseason. So we'll see how that goes for them down the stretch of the season, but in this game, I'm expecting a dominant win there for the Fighting Irish. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Arkansas Razorbacks going on the road to take on the Auburn Tigers. Arkansas comes into this game fresh off of a pretty competitive win there over UAB as they try to bounce back from losing at number 16 Oklahoma State. Obviously, losing at a ranked opponent, not a terrible loss, but yeah, Arkansas looking for respect out there in the SEC, and they are going to need some big wins if they want to get that respect back. Last week against UAB, we didn't see the passing game look very impressive at all, guys. 11 for 26 for 161 yards there from Taylon Green, and he got picked off once. Not a great look there. He was very good running the ball. 2 rushing touchdowns, 17 carries for 96 yards. That's great. And the running game in general for Arkansas looked elite. But yeah, a little bit shaky there in the passing game. We're getting a little bit concerned about that. Gonna need to see something better there. And they really don't seem to have a very deep group of receivers. Although, 26 passes, and they, just not exactly what I would have expected to see from this Arkansas team so far. So we'll see how they can do here going up against another pretty solid opponent. We'll see how that goes though. But Arkansas on defense giving up 27 points to UAB, 3 passing touchdowns, and over 100 yards of rushing offense. Not looking like the defense you would hope to see from an SEC opponent going up against any non-SEC opponent effectively. So we'll see what they can do here going up against Auburn. The Auburn Tigers come into this one 2-1 on the season. They got not destroyed, but they lost to Cal 21-14 there in week 2. So that wasn't what they wanted, but they bounced back well with a 45-19 win over New Mexico. Obviously, the New Mexico Lobos not really a program that's in very good shape right now, but yeah, Auburn coming up with 45 points again against them looked good. The passing game was on point. Hank Brown 235 yards and 4 touchdowns and 0 turnovers through the air, and yeah, the running game looked very good. But those are all things you expect to see from them against a very lowly opponent. They did turn the ball over twice, 2 fumbles lost in that game for Auburn, so that's not great. And they did give up 19 points, which I guess that's whatever. The defense probably not super locked in, but this season, generally speaking, I've been a little bit worried about the Auburn defense. We'll just see, though. It's still early in the year. It's kind of hard to make those big sweeping generalizations. So we'll see what they can do in this one going up against, a fairly solid opponent. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Auburn Tigers. They're minus 2.5, so 2.5 point favorites in this game. We've got an over-under of 56.5. Really, guys, this is a bit of a tough one to figure out which way to go. With both teams showing trends towards the over, I am leaning towards over 56.5. Like I was saying, I'm not impressed by either defense, and both offenses have shown the ability to move the ball on the ground and through the air, with Arkansas definitely being more of a running team. We'll see how the Auburn defense can hold up, but I'm not expecting any miracles here. So yeah, go ahead and give me over 56.5 as a small lean in this one. And if you really are looking for something on the side in this game, I would probably side towards Auburn at home. A less than a field goal favorite. Maybe they can get the job done here. Next up, guys, we're looking at UCLA. The UCLA Bruins going on the road to take on number 16 LSU. The Bruins come into this game 1-1 on the season. They barely edged out Hawaii there for a 16-13 win before getting absolutely obliterated in their second game, guys. They got destroyed by Indiana, losing 42-13. So yeah, not off to the hottest start there in conference play for UCLA. They gave up 4 passing touchdowns and 300 yards through the air. Not a great look, and yeah, not like the running game really got going in that one, and the defense obviously looked terrible. So we've got lots and lots of reason for concern here for the Bruins, guys. Not looking too good in their only matchup against a real solid opponent. Not the start they were hoping for to their season. And it's not like things are going to look easy here going into week 4 against LSU, guys. The Tigers come into this game 2-1 on the season. They lost a close one in week 1 against USC. That's looking like a pretty reasonable loss. USC is pretty good. And they won last week in a nail-biter against South Carolina. A very close, very crazy game there that came right down to the wire. But hey, they went on the road and got a very, very tough win there. So LSU will definitely take that one. In that game, guys, they made a hell of a comeback, scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter. We got pretty good stuff from their quarterback. 2 touchdowns, 285 yards. He did get picked off once, so yeah, that's not amazing, but the running game looked very good in that one. The real problem for me was their inability to stop the run, which maybe that's not a huge concern going up against UCLA, but yeah, giving up 243 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, not exactly a great look. And they couldn't contain the running quarterback either, so yeah, we're a little bit worried here about this defense. Don't necessarily think they're, in an amazing spot, but hey, they found a way to get the win there against a very solid opponent, and they kind of get an easy matchup here this week going up against UCLA. So guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Tigers, LSU, number 16 LSU, minus 21.5 at home. We've got an over-under of 56.5. UCLA is 0-2 against the spread so far this season. LSU is 0-3 against the spread this year. We've got LSU's 2-1 to the over. In terms of the over-under here, guys, I would maybe lean a little bit towards the under, but that's not my favorite part of this game, guys. I think we're going to see a very comfortable win from LSU in this one. I think they're going to take care of business in a big way playing at home. I don't think UCLA is going to get much of anything going against the LSU defense. Even though the LSU defense didn't look great last week, this is not the same kind of situation, guys. UCLA just not on this level. Go ahead and give me LSU in a massive blowout in this game. Next up, guys, we've got number 12 Utah going on the road to take on number 14 Oklahoma State. Right off the bat, guys, I'm going to let you know we have an against the spread play on this game over at Stump the Spread. Our NCAA football expert loved this one a lot. He really likes his side in this one, so I can't give that one away, but we can look at this game, break it down a little bit, and give you a play here on the over-under. Utah comes into this game 3-0 on the season, fresh off of a pretty solid win there over Utah State. Obviously not a very good opponent, and the Utes really haven't faced anybody that good this season. I mean, yeah, a win over Baylor doesn't really get me going too much, but this has been a solid team this season, no doubt about it. I mean, last week they looked very good, a game that was never really in much of a doubt, guys. I mean, a 38-21 win is solid. We saw Isaac Wilson look good passing the ball. We saw the running game look dominant in that one. Yeah, just generally speaking, a very good, relatively clean game. They did, Wilson did get picked off once, so that was not great, but defensively, they did struggle against the run a little bit, but looked good against the pass and generated 2 turnovers there. So Utah playing some decent defense in that one. So, not terrible there, but not like they're going to be an amazing defensive team this year. And the offense definitely looked good. I mean, that running game, very impressive there for the Utes. So we'll see what they can do here going up against Oklahoma State, who comes into this game 3-0 themselves. Beating San Diego State, sure. A good win against Arkansas, 39-31 win against Arkansas is good. And they went on the road to Tulsa, kind of a rivalry game, maybe a little bit there against 2 teams from Oklahoma, but a 45-10 win there for Oklahoma State. So very solid stuff there for the Cowboys. They looked good in that one, no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, we saw the passing game, 5 passing touchdowns there for Allen Bowman. Elite stuff. The running game looked good. Didn't get a ton of work, but looked good in the touches they got. And yeah, the passing game obviously looked very good. And they only had 1 turnover there, an interception there by Bowman. If you have a college quarterback passing for 400 yards, going to be pretty unlikely he doesn't put up at least 1 interception in that game. So looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we've got the Utes. It's basically down to a coin flip. Oklahoma State is +1. We've got an over-under of 54 in this game. Utah 1-2 against the spread, 2-1 to the under. Oklahoma State is 2-1 against the spread and 2-1 to the over. Guys, we're leaning a bit here towards the over in this game. Both teams have been scoring a lot of points, and I'm not nuts necessarily about either defense, so I'm leaning a bit towards the over here. But like I said, a big against the spread play on this one over at Stump the Spread. Next up, guys, we're looking at an SEC showdown between Vanderbilt and the Missouri Tigers, the number 7 Missouri Tigers. Vanderbilt comes into this game fresh off of a 36-32 loss at Georgia State. Not really a game that an SEC team is supposed to be losing, guys. They just could not come back well enough. I mean, they scored 22 points in the fourth quarter, but it was not enough. Yeah, Vanderbilt, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions there. So, decent in the passing game, but only 18 of 33 against what should not be a tough opponent. The running game did not look great. Only 110 yards on 34 rushing attempts. Not what you're looking for. Not what you're hoping for here. And yeah, they lost a fumble there, so that's not great. And yeah, just the defense could not stop Georgia State. Couldn't stop Georgia State, guys, and it's going to be a much tougher situation here this week. So definitely plenty of reason for concern here for Vanderbilt in this game, guys. I mean, gonna have to figure something out. They're taking on Mizzou, then Alabama. So over the next couple weeks, things are looking really tough out there. Not necessarily, not easy sailing here for Vanderbilt as they go on the road to play in a tough environment against a high-flying Mizzou Tigers team that, yeah, 3-0 in the year. They're coming off of a win over a ranked opponent. They won 27-21 over number 24 Boston Boston College. A very, very tough opponent there. I think it's safe to say that Mizzou did have a little bit of trouble there with that Boston College defense. It's a very, very good defensive team. I mean, we saw Cook pass for a touchdown and 264 yards, and he ran for another touchdown. The Tigers' running game looked good as well. 121 yards there on 22 carries for Noel, so that's pretty good. And yeah, we saw the passing game, like I said, do pretty well. I mean, Luther Burden III is an absolute monster out there. We like what we see from Missouri in that game. Obviously, they struggled maybe a little bit against the pass, but they got 2 interceptions in that game. And this is kind of a defense that's going to gamble a little bit, going to go for those big plays. If they can force a turnover or 2 during the game, or just the occasional 3 and out, then they can just get the ball back to this insane offense and let them go to town. So yeah, loving what I'm seeing from Missouri right now, but last week was maybe a little bit sketchy. So looking at the numbers for this one, we have the Tigers as big favorites once again. They are minus 20.5 in this game, and we've got an over-under of 52.5. Vanderbilt, they're 2-1 against the spread this season and 3-0 to the over this year. Mizzou is actually 2-1 against the spread this year and 3-0 to the under, which is a little bit surprising given this offense. But guys, we're leaning towards Missouri to get the win and cover in this one. They are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games against non-ranked opponents. If you like Vanderbilt at all, then you should probably take a look at that under 52.5. But guys, I like Mizzou to get the win in this one pretty comfortably. I think their defense is going to be fine here against a team that would like to pass the ball. And yeah, generally speaking, I don't think there's any way we're going to see Vanderbilt stopping Missouri very often at all. So yeah, you could talk me into over 52.5, I suppose. But my real lean in this one is the Mizzou Tigers playing at home to comfortably win this game by at least 21 points. Next up, guys, we're looking at the California Golden Bears going on the road to take on the Florida State Seminoles. Cal comes into this game fresh off a 3rd win, guys. They got a solid 31-10 win over San Diego State. No hangover there after that very crazy 21-14 win they had at Auburn. So very, very good stuff for Cal here right out of the gate, playing very, very well. In their win over San Diego State, not only did we see Cal dominate this game on the defensive side of the ball, giving up under 200 passing yards, generating 2 interceptions, and really holding down the running game, guys. We saw their offense look great. I mean, Mendoza looked very good out there. He did get picked off once, so that's not great, but completing 21 of 29 passes, that will certainly work. And the running game looked amazing. I mean, Thomas, Callaway, like this two-headed monster going absolutely crazy. Those 2 guys combining for well over 200 yards of rushing offense on only 26 combined carries. Very, very dominant stuff there. Yeah, this team only had that single turnover, so seeing very, very good stuff from Cal, even in what could have been a letdown spot for them after that win over Auburn. So yeah, seeing very, very good stuff from the Golden Bears in this game. And they're taking on a Florida State team that is 0-3 on the season, not off to a good start. They just lost to Memphis. They've lost to Georgia Tech in a close one, Boston College in not a close one, and then Memphis by a game that was only technically a 1-score game. But man, we are not very excited with what we're seeing from the Seminoles right now, guys. I mean, yeah, just not very good down the stretch. Yeah, they couldn't stop the passing game last week. We saw their starting quarterback, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, have a very rough time getting picked off once and barely completing half of his passes, and there was 0 running game, guys. 24 rushes for 37 yards. Are you kidding me? Like, this is college football, guys. Those are embarrassing numbers. They also fumbled the ball away twice. Just not a great look. Not a great look. This Florida State team is having a really, really rough time this season. So yeah, not loving what I'm seeing from them at all. And guys, looking at the numbers for this game, Cal comes into this one. They are getting 2.5 points here on the road. That is crazy to me. Absolutely insane. Maybe I'm walking into it here, but I love Cal plus 2.5 in this spot. Despite the fact they're playing on the road, they are 2-1 against the spread this season. Florida State is 0-3 against the spread this year. We see both teams are 3-0 to the under this season. So yeah, maybe you want to take the under in this spot a little bit. Cal could potentially shut out the Seminoles in this game. I could see that for sure, giving up 3, maybe 0 points. So yeah, I guess you could take the under if you wanted to, but guys, give me the Golden Bears. They're getting points in this spot. It seems insane to me with how terrible and disjointed and just awful Florida State looks. Go ahead and give me the Golden Bears in this one. This is probably going to be my biggest play of the day. Next up, guys, we've got another marquee game. We've got the number 6 Tennessee Volunteers going on the road to take on the number 15 Oklahoma Sooners. Tennessee comes into this game one of the hottest teams in the nation, guys. 3-0 to start the year. They got a blowout win over their only ranked opponent, winning 51-10 against number 24 NC State. They shut out Kent State 71-0 last week. So yeah, not playing a lot of exciting games there. The Volunteers aren't. They are just absolutely destroying every opponent they face. Obviously playing at number 15 Oklahoma was going to be their first big test of the season. So we'll see how they do. In week 2 there against NC State, we had to be very, very happy with what we saw from the Volunteers. I mean, yeah, the passing game maybe, I mean, turning the ball over twice, 2 interceptions, not the best look, but that running game absolutely dominant. Dylan Sampson killing it out there, 20 rushes, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns, and his longest run was 34 yards. So you can tell he was churning up that yardage every single time he got his hands on the ball. So very, very dominant stuff there. They've got a good wide receiving core. They didn't have any fumbles in that game, just those 2 interceptions there. So that's obviously something they needed to address, but they looked very, very good on offense in that game and even better on defense, guys. They held the rushing game basically without you being able to even get off the ground, and the passing game nearly as bad, guys. Only 104 yards passing surrendered in that game. So obviously a tougher test here for them going up against Oklahoma, but guys, yeah, we gotta be very, very happy with what we've seen from Tennessee so far this season. So looking at their opponent in this game, Oklahoma, they're 3-0 on the year, but they haven't faced the toughest teams. I mean, they blew out Temple, won a 4-point game at home against Houston, and then got a 34-19 win over Tulane. So yeah, not the most exciting wins there. I mean, we've seen good stuff. You can't. I mean, they've been beating who's in front of them, and that's all you can really ask. But they haven't really been laying it to them. Last week against Tulane, they only passed for 169 yards. Jackson Arnold not getting me too excited. I mean, he does great stuff in the running game, but with his arm, definitely still a lot of progress to be made. The running game for Oklahoma did look very good last week, but trying to run it against Tennessee is going to be a whole different ball game, guys. Very, very interesting stuff there. We'll see how it shakes out, but yeah, the Oklahoma running game has to be what carries them, because I don't think we're going to see Jackson Arnold really going nuts through the air, and I think that's going to be the plan there for Tennessee, is try to force him to pass the ball, and we'll see how that works out for this Sooners team. Obviously, they're number 15 in the nation, but they haven't proven a whole lot to me so far. So, guys, looking at the numbers for this one, we've got the Sooners getting 7 points at home. Yeah, I mean, we've got an over-under of 56.5 in this game. Tennessee is 3-0 against the spread this year and 3-0 to the over. Oklahoma is 2-1 against the spread and 2-1 to the under. Guys, I would be slamming it here on Tennessee for sure if it wasn't for one thing that always makes me a little bit scared when I see it. The books are super overexposed right now on the Tennessee side. The public money is absolutely massive on the Volunteers in this game. That being said, a lot of the time, some of the time at least, the public is right. And guys, I don't think with all the information that we have that I can fade this. I'm going to be on Tennessee -7 in this game. Anything less than 10 points, I do like Tennessee. I just think their defense is too good, and I think the Sooners are being a little bit overvalued here based on their success against some pretty mediocre opponents. So go ahead and give me Tennessee -7 in this one. And if you wanted to play the over-under in this game, I would probably lean just a little bit towards under 56.5, but yeah, I don't really have much of a read on that one, guys. Just go ahead and give me Tennessee -7, but keep in mind all that public money can make things a little bit scary. Rounding to the home stretch here, guys, we are looking at the Baylor Bears going on the road to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Baylor's 2-1 on the season. They lost against their toughest opponent there, falling 23-12 against then number 11 Utah, and losing on the road at Utah. Really not a lot of shame in that, guys. I mean, that's a tough opponent, but they kept things pretty respectable. We'll see what they look like here going up against Colorado. Their last game was a 31-3 win over Air Force, where they dominated. They looked good in the passing game, great in the running game. Obviously a big talent gap there in that matchup. So yeah, not a ton to be gleaned from that. I mean, obviously beating up on a bad opponent doesn't mean that much. In their game against Utah, though, that's where we really want to be drawing some conclusions. How did they look against the passing game? And not that Utah's a team that likes to pass the ball a lot, but they gave up 2 passing touchdowns in that one, and yeah, had a little bit of trouble there with Money Parks. So definitely a little bit worried about their defense's ability to slow down the pass here going up against a team like the pretty elite passing game, which is kind of all they can do, passing game of Colorado. So we'll see what Baylor can get going in this one. Obviously not a team that has insane aspirations this season. A team that's insane in about everything they do, it feels like to me, is Colorado. Yeah, a lot of talk and then getting blown out 28-10 there at Nebraska. They followed it up with a solid 28-9 win over Colorado State. So good job there. They get another relatively weak opponent in this one. So we'll see what they can do here against Baylor in that win against Colorado State. We didn't see Shedeur Sanders crying about the offensive line in that one. He passed for 4 touchdowns, 310 yards. That's very, very good. The running game was also solid. Basically a big skill gap in this game. Obviously no major shock there. They did turn the ball over one time, so that's obviously a small blemish, but winning 28-9, definitely good stuff there for Colorado, despite the fact they were playing on the road in something of a rivalry game. So we'll see what they look like here against Baylor. I'm expecting pretty good things here. I mean, Baylor comes into this game 3-0 against the spread. Colorado is 2-1 again, or 1-2 against the spread. We've got both teams showing some trends towards the under, which I think is very, very interesting. And with an over-under of 51.5 in this game, that seems playable to me for sure. In terms of the numbers for this game, though, I mean, Colorado only 1.5 point favorites, and we're going to be leaning here pretty hard towards Colorado at home, guys. Baylor is 0-6 against their last 6 conference opponents. The favorite is 8-0 in Colorado's last 8 games. The home team is 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 Baylor games, and Baylor is 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 games as an underdog against a non-ranked opponent. So yeah, guys, all of that's going to add up to a Colorado pick for me. I'm definitely going to be putting this in the pinned comment. I think it's a good spot for them, a team that's going to be looking to, prove themselves against the bad teams, and then is going to get absolutely worked by elite opponents. So yeah, go ahead and give me Colorado in this one. I think the offensive line will hold up well enough, and I think we'll see Sanders kind of do his thing. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the number 13 Kansas State Wildcats going on the road to take on the BYU Cougars in a matchup of 2 undefeated opponents. Kansas State comes into this game fresh off of a massive, massive win there over number 20 Arizona. They won 31-7, so things looking very, very good right now for the Wildcats. In that game, we saw quarterback Avery Johnson pass for 2 touchdowns and 156 yards without being picked off, and he also ran the ball 17 times for 110 yards, so obviously he is the main focal point of this offense, and he's absolutely getting it done out there. But yeah, Giddens looked very good in the running game, and obviously we saw the wide receiver group look okay, not insane out there. Obviously you're only passing for 150 yards, not like they get a ton of chances to put up crazy numbers, but very, very happy with what we saw from Kansas State in that game, especially going up against a ranked opponent. And their defense looked very good in that one too, not bending but not breaking against the passing game and getting an interception, and looking very, very good there against the run, although they didn't have to face that many running attempts because, obviously they were up pretty big pretty early in that game. I mean, once the third quarter hit, basically the running game situation was over there for Arizona. So we'll see what they look like in this one, going up against a pretty solid looking BYU Cougars team that's off to a 3-0 start of their own. I mean, a win over SIU, a very close win over SMU, and then a blowout win over Wyoming last week. Maybe we shouldn't be overreacting too much, but hey, they're 3-0. They've won each of their first 3 games. They're taking care of the opponents that are put in front of them in pretty solid fashion. And last week, guys, at Wyoming, they looked good for sure. I mean, yeah, they had this one salted away basically by the middle of the third quarter. I mean, we saw their passing game look very good. 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception in that one, and the running game was thriving out there, and they really, really stifled the Wyoming offense just overall. So very, very good things from their defense. They only turned the ball over a single time while generating 1 turnover. So yeah, maybe not insane, especially against a pretty weak Wyoming team, but generally speaking, guys, I liked what I saw there from BYU, no doubt about that. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got Kansas. They are 6.5 point favorites in this one. That means BYU getting 6.5 at home. We've got an over-under of 49.5 in this game. Kansas State is 1-2 against the spread this season and 2-1 to the under. BYU, on the other hand, is 3-0 against the spread this season and 2-1 to the over. Guys, we're going to be going with BYU and the points. If it gets up to 7, that seems like amazing value, but we'll take the 6.5 at the moment. This is a huge letdown for Kansas State after their crazy win over Arizona a week ago. Also, guys, the under definitely makes some sense to me in this game for sure. I could wrap my head around under 49.5, but really I think taking BYU plus 6.5 or please plus 7 if the books will give that to us seems very, very reasonable. I think they're going to keep this game close, and playing at home seems like a pretty good spot for them in this game. So yeah, go ahead and give me BYU. I think it's some very good value. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.